The stupidity of preteen girls, hormonal urges of webtoon's user base of emotionally unstable preteens.
When he's referring to them being preteens, it's meant to be a judgment of their behavior and not their literal age.
Goddamn estrogen. After the pink hair bitch, you see how this pink hair bitch?
He calls fictional characters bitches just to be funny? A lot of the main characters just happen to be women.
You fucking fat ass Fujoshi bitches, thin-skinned, easily triggered, emotionally underdeveloped, basic bitch fur.
Guys, on average, just don't want to do anything that makes a girl hate them. We don't want other girls out there to grow up thinking that this is normal. And it's much easier for a girl to hear that from another girl than to hear it from a guy, because they're so much more likely to just assume that the guy is sexist. She's a slut. There is no mention of any sex trafficking. He gets paid to find women for him to kidnap for his harem.
It's been a while, so just to recap, I made a video essay on a channel that reviewed webtoons, basically pointing out how outrageously illogical Jack's videos were, and how he victimized himself when he received backlash.
Dumbass preteen girls, dumbass preteen girls, dumbass preteen girls, butcher all these stupid Korean names, who even gives a damn? Jing Jong, chicken fried rice, pretty boy Jing Jong Jade. This is fucking retarded. This is retarded. Whoever drew this, you need to kill yourself. You should kill yourself. Labeled themselves as victims of bullying, a bunch of mentally fucked fragile art girls have zero ability to take any form of criticism. The literal danger I put myself in when I make these videos. These mentally sick webtoon femcells kept striking it down with false copyright strikes. They've tried ruining me. May think that being a YouTuber is easy, but trust me, it's freaking not.
I called a YouTuber he collabed with a pick-me for parroting his lies about girls under 14 reading
Softcore porn,
apparently made for them, and that these girls are most of webtoon's user base. This YouTuber made a response video defending Jack's behavior, so not actually a response because she didn't respond to anything I said about her, she just defended the guy she wants to be picked by. Right off the bat, we know she made this video because she doesn't think that someone can be homophobic and bisexual at the same time.
I don't know how he has sex with men if he's scared of gay men.
I don't know what being a furry has to do with anything, but I'm sure she'll explain it. Dannphan starts off her video by saying that my video essay is a hit piece.
Hit piece on Black Like Jack.
Since when was that the term for commentary videos? Apparently I presented false information about him to make him look bad. Like what? The clips from his own videos? They're supposedly fake? She actually does this herself in her videos, presents information that appears to be true but actually is not. You'll see it all throughout this video. So what she really means is that she makes hit pieces. I labeled Jack's collective behavior as rage bait and victim mentality. Jack can be summed up as a random guy on the internet who goes on unhinged rants with no logical reasoning or evidence to back up his claims. He shows absolutely no signs of research on the topics he rants about, which causes him to tunnel vision so hard that he loses vision, ending up with no outlook on the world and therefore producing unnecessary content. I don't think I made him out to be worse than he is. He sounds like he hates girls.
If you're a normally functioning human being reading this garbage as opposed to a stupid ass preteen girl, dumb, hormone enraged, introverted little girls with no experience with the outside world. There's a lot of those on planet Earth. Instant gratification for stupid ass little girls. Dumbass preteen Fujoshi little girls. Stupid ass impressionable preteen girls. The dumbass girls. Stupid ass little girls not concerning themselves over the disgusting circumstances as long as it satiates their weird little fantasies. Dumbass little girls. Dumbass little girls. Dumbass little girls. Stupid ass Fujoshi little girls. Dumbass little girls. Dumbass little girl. Dumbass little girl. Stupid ass girls. Stupid ass little girl.
And woman.
The stupid main girl ex-husband tries to woo pink hair bitch. Guy pulls up on pink hair bitch. She is very clearly a fundamentally incompetent writer and artist who is more focused on basic salivating moments that fire up the estrogen of her dumbass fan base of little girls. Fucking Rachel Smegma or whatever her goddamn name is. Twitter freaks who always scream about feminism and the patriarchy and all that other bullcrap. Pink-haired feminist who has no knowledge or skill. Political activist, race-washed, woke, feminist, gender inequality ranting mouthpiece for Mariko Tamagi's bitterness towards society. Egomaniacal, narcissistic woman that thinks she's entitled to planet Earth simply because of the fact that she has a vagina between her legs and she's South Asian. The these mentally sick femcel readers.
And he does sound racist.
We just
This
have to
girl-
find a Doljabi for ourselves, because I can totally take that name seriously.
The Heavenly Emperor calls upon Hang and Dong Bang Sat.
Dong, the ancient Chinese named their children by dropping pots and pans down staircases. I am now Chinaman reporter. I can make a racist joke. Rochan, you are going to succeed. Oh. But it is okay to cry a little or no way. Oh my god, I should have been doing this accent a lot more. I'm having more fun making racist accents than I am actually reading this comic.
She opens up her video talking about how Blacklight Jack is this cringe comic reader.
I never called him cringe, so why did you say that about him? That word was never even brought up. Is that what you thought of him and it just slipped out, or?
She goes on to say, oh, also the biggest problem with him is he's misogynistic, he's racist, he's homophobic.
She not only just makes shit up, but she can't even understand basic English? It was more like you would call him racist and homophobic, but the exact wording was what you would call racist and homophobic, which is even shown in her own video. Blacklight Jack is what you would call racist, misogynistic, homophobic. Maybe she's deaf. Seems to be a common problem these days.
Wait, what the hell? How did this bitch get in my car to begin with?
What? He calls fictional characters bitches just to be funny? A lot of the comics that he's critiquing on Webtoon are comics that are aimed towards women. And a lot of the main characters just so happen to be women.
I don't even know why she brought this up. I said that Jack calls female characters bitches for no reason, not that he calls main characters bitches for no reason. The sheer amount of times he calls a female character bitch out of the blue for no reason.
And then, before she finishes her sentence, Nick hugs the bitch. How did this bitch get in my car? The pink bitch. Are these the same bitches? Bitch is high rise. Because this bitch, pink hair bitch. Pink hair bitch, pink hair bitch.
So she's just digging her own grave at this point, or more like his grave. If she wanted to prove that Jack is not misogynistic by claiming that he doesn't just call female characters bitches, she should have shown clips of Jack calling male characters bitches. I use bitch gender neutrally, so it's not like I don't understand what she's trying to say, but you can't just make this argument without showing proof of him using the word bitch gender neutrally, and I shouldn't have to explain that. She should not be making hit pieces if she doesn't even know how to pretend to prove a point. Dannphan explains extensively how a lot of women read BL as if that's relevant to anything.
Jack is so spiteful towards these types of fandoms, you know? Maybe you should look into that.
Just because something is BL doesn't mean the author made it for women, and she doesn't have any evidence to prove that the BL webtoons Jack criticized were for women or for girls. But Jack was criticizing specifically preteen girls for reading these BLs, and criticizing the authors for knowing that and catering their
Softcore porn
to them, but he doesn't even know if they were made for girls.
I'm pretty sure nothing I'm just a nobody is actually just supposed to mean I'm a generic fucking cardboard cutout character that stupid ass Fujoshi little girls can salivate over. Generic gay romance characters that you'd see in any generic gay romance comic specifically designed to fucking be estrogen bait for the dumbass little girls that use this website.
Delusional.
That is what her argument boils down to. I don't like him cause he's mean. That's fine. You can make a whole video about him being mean. And you can do all of that without claiming that he's a misogynistic, racist homophobe.
Okay, let's just pretend I claimed that Jack was homophobic because I cannot make this video otherwise. She doesn't even explain why it matters that he's a furry, but we can look past that too. I never said I don't like Jack or that he's too mean, so I don't know where you got that from. There's a clear difference between being mean compared to being misogynistic, delusional, and telling people to kill themselves.
Borba, you should kill yourself. I'm not fucking joking at all. Actually fucking kill yourself. This is retarded. Whoever drew this, you need to kill yourself. Whoever made this should kill themselves. I'm not even slightly joking.
Mean is actually crazy. Telling someone to kill themselves can be a form of harassment or cyberbullying and is also a crime in many states. If someone does end up committing suicide after you told them to, you might be charged with involuntary manslaughter.
The most confusing thing about her calling him homophobic is she doesn't seem to be unaware that he's bisexual. She includes a clip of his infamous catchphrase, "traps are my fetish," but she just doesn't acknowledge it at all.
I called him homophobic, mostly because he used the word gay as a general insult. I did know he was bisexual because he said it in one of the videos I watched. You would know if you watched them too, but for some reason none of his own fans know what he said in his videos. I didn't mention his sexuality because it was irrelevant. One, you can still be homophobic as a bisexual, although some people don't agree with that. It's a general consensus among people in the gay community. It makes the most sense for me to accept what the majority of people in that community say about this topic as fact. People can be racist to their own race, so I don't see why people can't be homophobic when they're bi. 2. The only way to make his sexuality relevant in my video was to include it in the hypocrisy section, but I didn't want to say that Jack is hypocritical for being homophobic as a bisexual because it's really not my place to make an argument for either side as someone who's not in the community. I don't know why Dannphan is doing so.
Bisexual. It has nothing to do with him hating gay people.
I used other clips to prove his hypocrisy instead.
Be reasonable? You don't have to overreach that far to be like, hey, I don't like this guy's content because he's too mean.
You really need to follow your own advice. You use your platform to spread misinformation. Your title itself is a lie.
They throw some social political term at them. If anything, it makes me take you less seriously because I think it shows that you're not really a reliable narrator.
Is that why you're doing this right now? Producing logical fallacies and spreading lies without any form of evidence because you're such a reliable narrator?
She has this whole critique on Jack calling his audience boys. I'm not really that much different from because I also use gendered language when I start my videos, or when I refer to my fans, I just say, hey, like, hey guys, which is technically, yeah, gendered.
Are you in his Discord server or something? You guys have been recycling this same brain-dead argument. They turn Jack calling his audience boys and then sounding disappointed to find out they're mostly girls.
Apparently the majority of my gender demographic is females.
Into calling his audience guys or dudes, and then they disprove their own delusion. Boy and guy being two different words with different connotations and usages is such a basic concept that you should not be struggling with. People use words like guys and dude gender neutrally. The word boy is not gender neutral, and if you knew someone other than Jack who uses it gender neutrally, you would have said so. Jack also only started using boy gender neutrally after he found out that his audience was mostly girls, when he chose to continue to call them boys, which means he was not using it gender neutrally before then, which also means that he was insulting girls to an audience that he thought were boys.
The reality is sometimes people just have vocal patterns, and you're going to stick to those vocal patterns unless you make the mental effort to try to avoid them.
Vocal patterns? I don't think word choice falls under vocal patterns.
The reality is she was not satisfied with just doing a video only about Jack. She wanted to cover anyone who ever criticized the webtoon community ever, including Chalupa.
God damn it, why do you have to bring up Chalupa?
She does kinda just paint Chalupa and Matty Bites as though they're both misogynist.
She's one of those people who think that pointing out someone's reputation is the same as stating that the person is that reputation. I don't know why Dannphan is grouping Matty Bites, Chalupa, and even herself with Jack. Jack is the only person out of the four who I said was misogynistic in this video. All I said about Dannphan was that she's a pick-me. I gave Matty the benefit of the doubt, so she makes no sense as always. To give Matty the benefit of the doubt, I just assumed that maybe she feels like she has to talk about women being problematic because she's a woman.
There is a reason why there are so many women critiquing women's fiction. We don't want other girls out there to grow up thinking that this is normal. And it's much easier for a girl to hear that from another girl than to hear it from a guy, because they're so much more likely to just assume that the guy is sexist or the guy is misogynistic and not listen.
What year is she living in? I'm sure there are some extremists who do assume and speculate based on gender or biological sex, like Dannphan herself, but can she give examples to prove that girls are much more likely to do this to men solely based on gender? I don't even know why she believes this, because she knows that Jack's audience was mostly girls at one point.
The majority of my gender demographic is females.
Which clearly means they were watching him because they didn't think he was misogynistic despite how aggressive and delusional his criticisms were.
Guys, on average, just don't want to be called sexist. They don't want to do anything that makes a girl hate them.
Jack's fan to the rescue to save these poor men from offending women because they're all just innocent simps.
When it comes to webtoon statistics, I know when a YouTuber flashes a bunch of graphs at you, you might be inclined to go along with whatever narrative they have, but something seems fishy. This looks like a job for Detective Codan.
Oh my god, she's so cringe.
These stats were from 10 years ago and were not around the time we made our videos.
What is she on? The stats I presented when I said Webtoon's audience was never mostly women, so I obviously presented both stats from 10 years ago and stats that are more recent from 2023. It seems like Webtoon's user base has never been mostly women because I can't find statistics reflecting such belief. I literally highlighted the date so people can easily tell this particular article was from 2016. You can even see this in her own video. You'd think she's joking, but she's actually serious.
She also skipped over how in 2019 the Webtoon head of content claimed that more than 60% of the audience was female, with most users being between ages 16 and 24. Maybe that statistic is too old, but if she thinks 2016 isn't too old, then 2019 is definitely fair.
ICV2? Was that in my works cited links? No. Then what the fuck is she saying? I skipped over a lot more years than 2019. I skipped over most of the years. Webtoon launched in 2004. She didn't even cite this ICV2 source, so no one can even read this article for themselves without going out of their way to search for it. Dannphan literally shows in her own video why I couldn't trust Jack saying Webtoon's user base is preteen girls. I couldn't even find statistics reflecting Webtoon's user base being mostly women, let alone preteen girls. She also showed that I specifically looked for statistics around the time that Jack was spreading misinformation, therefore the 58% in 2021. I looked for statistics around the time that Blacklight Jack started spouting his nonsense, and the best it gets is 58% female in 2021.
She also skipped over how in 2019...
Was Jack even around in 2019? No. Then what the fuck is her problem? Is she okay? It only makes sense to use stats from around the time that Jack was active because it would have made sense for him to search up stats when he was going to make videos acting like he knows them.
The types of people that read manhwas and webcomic via apps are mostly preteen-ass kids.
This is the most relevant stat drop, which came from the CEO of Webtoon in 2021. And the most relevant stat drop is the one that she disregards the most because it doesn't agree with her.
58% female in 2021. Webtoon's user base has never been mostly women.
60% of the audience was female.
60 to 65% is still not most of the user base. You might think that she's just using that word most to refer to anything over half, but what happened to majority?
I can find an independent study for Webtoon that says teenagers make up the majority of their market.
Is it just me who thinks that most is closer to 80%?
What I find more jaw-dropping, and that she didn't mention at all in her video, the fact that this article also says 70% of the users in the US are under age 24.
That sign can't stop me because I can't read.
70% under age 24? That is actually kind of fucking insane.
I'm losing brain cells.
These studies are independent studies and not from Webtoon themselves, plus they're global Webtoon statistics. When it comes to independent studies, you always need to take them with a grain of salt.
Has Webtoon ever published detailed statistics before? Don't they just get interviewed sometimes and they reveal whatever they want to reveal? Suggesting that independent studies are inaccurate doesn't accomplish anything. This video should have been titled Jack Fans What Ifs. She could have tried to prove that the website I cited is inaccurate by researching its accuracy. You can literally do that for any website with its URL, but she didn't want to do any work, so she just throws out a bunch of theories. At least I have proof. What do you have? Nothing. She actually lies. I know, so unexpected of her. As you can see here, it says that her and Jack's claim was that Webtoon's user base is mostly young women, when their claim was always that Webtoon's user base is mostly preteen girls.
Preteen's comic website. Webtoon's entire user base primarily consists of dumb, hormone-enraged, introverted little girls. Webtoon's platform of hormone-enraged children. Dumbass preteen girls. Stupid preteen girls. Dumbass 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 preteen girls. Stupid preteen girls.
Softcore porn for preteen girls going through puberty. puberty.
Preteens are at most 14, a clear difference to young women.
Most users being between ages 16 and 24.
The largest age group doesn't translate to 14-year-old girls being most of the user base. Show me proof that Webtoon's audience is mostly preteen girls. Whenever you decide that you're capable of proving your points instead of pretending like your personal feelings are objective facts. She states that Jack started covering Webtoons in 2023, and surely she couldn't have gotten that information wrong too, right? No, I looked on his channel and it seemed like he actually started in 2022. How can anyone trust her for anything when she is exactly like Jack, just bullshitting everything because she's too lazy to fact check?
TikTok? 36% of global users for TikTok are under the age of 24, and it's cited that roughly 60% of users. So why are you pretending this stat doesn't exist?
How is this relevant to anything I said?
She'd rather paint this picture as though Jack gaslit the entire internet into believing something that isn't true, like he just made it up and his influence was so great that everyone just believed him. No. That's not how that works.
He doesn't even have 1 million subscribers, so what are you saying?
They know for a fact that the age demographic of people who use Webtoon are dumbass, preteen, fujoshi little girls looking for estrogen bait. You're peddling this shit to fucking kids! Preys on the hormonal urges of Webtoon's user base of emotionally unstable preteens in order to squeeze dough out of Patreon.
Did he not try to convince people that Webtoon is this horrible site full of preteen girls and authors are maliciously targeting preteen girls to pay for mature content on Patreon?
The New York Times is not watching Blacklight Jack's videos to get their Webtoon statistics. They're taking statements directly from Webtoon officials.
What are you saying now?
People, in order to get all the content on Webtoon, will kinda just lie about their age.
I don't know why she brings up the fact that kids lie about their age, because even if every single female in her 65% female statistics was actually a preteen girl, that is still not most of Webtoon's user base, which doesn't disprove my point that Jack has been lying to be misogynistic. I haven't seen anyone this dumb since pretty recently, actually. Dannphan knows what she and Jack said. It's even in the video she watched. She knows she said preteen girls, but she replaces her argument with young women and pretends like that was her argument this whole time, but she still managed to prove nothing with her new argument. And then she does this pick-me behavior. She decides to speak for Jack and says that every time Jack said preteen girls, he didn't actually mean preteen girls.
Obviously, there is a lot of exaggeration in Jack's videos. When he's referring to them being preteen, it's meant to be a judgment of their behavior and not their literal age.
What, I thought you said you weren't a mind reader.
I'm not a mind reader.
You can read Jack's mind, so why can't you read this guy's? We're not psychic like you are, so do you have a screenshot of Jack from a couple years ago saying he doesn't know what a preteen girl means but uses it anyway?
Just like when people say this guy is literally Hitler. They do not literally mean Hitler has been resurrected from the dead.
Is she really that dumb? How is a Hitler joke the same thing if the guy is literally dead? So that joke is 100% obvious. Why would anyone think that Jack is only exaggerating, especially when she has no evidence of this? She acts like it's obvious that Jack is exaggerating when it's not obvious at all.
Literal children on Webtoon.
The only reason I found out that he already knows Webtoon's user base is not actually preteen girls is because I watched too many of his videos to make my video, but out of all those videos I watched, he only admitted the truth once, and this was after he already preached his nonsense.
I've been saying that Webtoon is a children's comic book website, and it really isn't, I'm not gonna lie. The only reason why I always trashed on these vile-ass Webtoons is because this is a literal children's webcomic app.
I don't know when he found out he was wrong or if he knew the whole time, but he didn't change his ways after he found out.
I am exaggerating and not actually trying to cite any real statistic. I'm just trying to capture for the viewer what my experience was at the time. Obviously.
Jack said that it's not the content itself that he minds on the Webtoon platform, but that the content is made for preteen girls.
I actually don't care at all that this comic exists. Everyone's got a fetish after all. The issue is that this is sitting on Webtoon. You know, the website full of dumbass preteen girls.
This is a protect the kids take.
Literal children catering this shit to kids and teens. Designed for fucking 12-year-old girls like a 7-year-old girl playing with a dollhouse, so they squee at all the cringy drama moments and borderline softcore porn.
She's twisting his own words to defend him, and not only does he like it, but this is apparently not pick-me behavior? Why did he even think that girls were reading this stuff and not boys? Replacing the term preteen girls with young women doesn't help his case at all. Because one, why would he use the word woman to insult an audience of webtoons that he thought were problematic when he had no way of knowing the gender demographic of the webtoons he was criticizing? Two, her logic defeats the whole purpose of him making these videos. He was only criticizing these webtoons because preteen girls were apparently consuming them.
The issue is that this is sitting on Webtoon. The issue I have is where it's being publicized. The primary user base of Webtoon is like stupid-ass, impressionable preteen girls.
If he actually meant young women, his cause now feels unnecessary. Even a 20-year-old is referred to as a young woman. Why does he feel the need to protect women? They can read whatever they want. 3. Why was it the term preteen girls specifically that he used to criticize women reading problematic works? Does he think women have the mentality of a child and children like reading
Softcore porn.
according to him and his fan? So whoever reads stuff like that is a woman, aka a preteen girl? Who's gonna break it to this fan that no amount of pick-me logic is gonna excuse misogyny? I said that Jack lies to be misogynistic, and nothing that his fan says in her video disproves that.
Ironic for her to critique us for not being precise when she herself spends the entire video sensationalizing everything. Calling a gay guy homophobic.
Oh no, there she goes again. Wait, I thought Jack was bi. Is he gay now?
And maybe she's just kind of unaware of the controversies Webtoon has had. There's this disconnect between the advertising versus the actual content placed on Webtoon. I used to play this game.
How is this related to Jack being gay and homophobic? I mean, not homophobic. I thought you were gonna explain that part.
What actually made me kind of enraged while watching her video had nothing to do with the statistic debate. It had nothing to do with calling Jack homophobic even though he's bisexual.
Oh, so he is still bisexual. Is that an exaggeration too?
Not knowing what a fujoshi is.
How dare the average person not know what a fujoshi is? Maybe you should learn your own language before you criticize others for not knowing Japanese. You don't even know what you and would means. What kind of manga niche do you have to be in to know an insult specific to women who like BL and for you to think that it's common knowledge instead of words like
Ohayo, itadakimasu.
just actual basic Japanese? What we're witnessing here is the mindset and worldview of a delusional weeb.
Not even picking up on the fact that Jack was a furry?
I didn't even know what Jack's avatar was supposed to be because I never paid attention to it. But now that I've stared at it for a bit, is that a dog or a wolf? Jack's fan thinks that me explaining how their logic makes no sense for one of their arguments is just me defending a bad comic.
Clearly you're not supposed to like this guy. A man that uses political power to make women his personal sex toys. There is a guy that collects women like toys, uses them for his own personal entertainment and sexual gratification, of course, and he's a bad guy. Is this because a guy is doing it now? We should be looking at all of this just as sourly as we would if this was a guy performing such acts.
Comic glorifies double standards. This comic is basically teaching young girls that it's totally okay to objectify and mistreat the opposite gender.
They're so fixated on gender for some reason. Upon watching this video, The Princess's Jewels doesn't seem to be about slavery being okay when a woman does it as opposed to a man because it's not about gender. And I didn't even read the webtoon, so this video should have convinced me she's literally not doing the same thing he is. The villain is clearly trafficking women.
The thing that I think I found most enraging about the video is that she felt the need to defend the princess's jewels for kinda no reason other than to just be a contrarian. She comes up with a headcanon reason for why actually what the villain was doing was not the same thing as what the main character was doing in the series. It's totally different. This has nothing to do with gender.
The Gummy Bear King also made a video pointing out the flawed logic in Jack's The Princess's Jewels video.
Where I fundamentally disagree with this guy is because he's just ignoring objective reality to suit his own subjective opinion and need, so it can fit into his narrative. Something to kind of like mitigate how awful the main protagonist is because reasons?
And he didn't read that webtoon either, so why isn't she bitching out on him?
They were discussing a webtoon comic that I had not actually read myself.
It doesn't matter if we didn't read the webtoon because it's not about the webtoon. We were criticizing Jack's video for not making sense.
If you say something dumb or something untrue or something that just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that I feel is worth making a topic point in terms of a video, and I'm going to simply do it regardless of any disparity between us.
Now the difference between the Gummy Bear King and I is that he just left it as Jack not making sense, while I speculated about the webtoon based on what was shown in Jack's video. Do you see that expression on the face of the guy next to the villain and the fact that there's a whole crew? Why would this random guy have this expression on his face as if he would also be able to sleep with the princess if she sleeps with the villain? It's obviously because the slaves, as you call them, are forced to sleep with everyone. Dannphan says that my speculation is wrong, which I don't even believe because she didn't show evidence and she's untrustworthy, but even if it is wrong, it doesn't disprove my point, which was that some of the claims they made in that video are not convincing.
These readers and commenters and users perform an extremely aggravating action. It's a tactic that, funny enough, enables the continued production of woke media.
I get that this reverse harem webtoon is garbage, but how is it woke media? Yes, the webtoon seems like it is garbage in other ways, but not in a gender double standard type of way, at least from this video. You can make the argument that harems like this suck in general, but you can't make it about double standards with a flawed argument. I don't get why this is me defending the webtoon and not me just saying the double standard argument makes no sense from Jack's video alone. Why did she complain that I speculated about a webtoon she hates? She can speculate about me, but I can't speculate about the princess's jewels? Because Dannphan was so upset that I didn't read her favorite webtoon, I gave it a try. The MC does have other reasons for wanting to become empress besides the harem. Wait, this guy is skilled in reading people's minds. He must be Dannphan's favorite character. This is the point in the story where she was enraged that I speculated this random character to have the desire to sleep with Ariana, the MC, based on his creepy look. I don't get why this is me defending the webtoon, but anyway. Dannphan and Jack's point was that this villain who traffics women is the exact same as the MC Ariana, but at this point in the story, every single guy in the harem is there because they want to be. They're consenting adults who objectify and sexualize Ariana as much as she does them. Meanwhile, this guy tried to kidnap her to sleep with her when she declined his offer, which means he was planning to rape her, and then he tries to hit her. So how are they the same exactly?
Unfortunately, I once again had to reread The Princess's Jewels just to double check my memory to make sure that this character who was smiling suspiciously wasn't smiling suspiciously because he wanted to fuck this lady. This guy is not a client of Meldea. He is a henchman. He works for Meldea, and his job is finding women for him to kidnap for his harem.
I never said that the rando was a client. I was implying that the villain passes his woman around. If this rando was the villain's client, why would the villain need to sleep with Ariana first? She would have just been exchanged for payment.
He gets paid to find women for this guy's harem.
Dannphan said the rando looks like this because he gets paid to find women to kidnap, which doesn't make sense because he was already paid, so why does he look like that now? There's nothing in the story to prove that my speculation of the villain's slaves having to sleep with other people is correct, but her explanation is wrong too. He got paid before his group even ambushed her, back when he checked out the new street dancer who was secretly Ariana in disguise. Dannphan is saying that he looks this creepy in the ambush scene because he was paid in a prior scene for checking out Ariana, which makes no sense.
He is happy because he gets paid for this. He looks at the main character and he sees big dollar signs.
Is she saying that he's just excited he got money so he looks like he's high the whole day? Now, upon reading the story, I think that this is just his default face for some reason. The women that this villain picks up have low status. You can tell by the way he speaks to who he thinks is a street dancer, so these women are obviously verbally and physically abused when they don't consent, which you can even see in the story because he tries to do this to Ariana. I don't think it's such a crazy idea to assume that the characters who were trafficked into this guy's mansion are passed around, unless the fan is implying that kidnapping women to rape them is not considered trafficking.
There is no mention of any sex trafficking operation. It is much more simpler than she thinks it is.
Oh, that is what she's saying. If someone finds a woman to kidnap and receives payment for it, and this woman is kidnapped, then forced to have sex with the person who paid, that is sex trafficking. According to 18 U.S. Code Section 1591, whoever knowingly recruits, entices, transports, provides, obtains, or solicits a person or benefits financially from participating in these acts, then uses force, threats of force, or coercion to cause the person to engage in a commercial sex act, which means any sex act on account of which anything of value is given to or received by any person is guilty of sex trafficking.
No mention of any sex trafficking operation.
You're saying because there's no explicit mention of a sex trafficking operation that he's not trafficking women? You're telling me that the women who you know were kidnapped for his harem weren't trafficked?
Finding women for him to kidnap for his harem.
You think he just stares at them once he kidnaps them and doesn't do anything to them? After you saw him trying to kidnap Ariana to have sex with her when she said no? After you saw him say that? Ariana baited him, using herself to get into this situation in the first place because she knew what the villain had been going around doing. So why do you think this is his first rodeo? Additionally, she orders the villain to be castrated and his son says serves you right. Why would he say that to his own father getting castrated if his father wasn't raping people? There are so many hints to sex trafficking and she's still looking for an explicit mention? But there was also no mention of Ariana abusing or enslaving her men, or Ariana being the same as the villain, or slavery being okay when a woman does it as opposed to a man. Why is it that she only looks for explicit mentions when she sees fit, ignoring everything that contradicts her gender double standard propaganda, and when someone else shares a different interpretation, her first thought is to invalidate it with, "There was no mention of that. You're wrong and I'm right because I'm allowed to speculate, but you're not." Even if we're going off of what Dannphan said, the guy is still an abusive kidnapper.
She believes that sex with men is the only thing that matters in life. She's a slut.
She thinks that a slut is as bad as a physically and verbally abusive serial kidnapper when one is an actual criminal. Jade is the only character who doesn't want to be in Ariana's harem, but has to for political reasons. He basically traded his freedom for peace and his criminal father's life, but Ariana knows he doesn't like her, so she doesn't do anything to him.
He was chilling in his place one day, then she comes in and says, "You were to have sexual relation with me."
Yeah, this never happened. He's actually into her, so he has to convince himself that she's disgusting so he can keep wanting to leave. He joined the harem in episode 10, and I've suffered through 18 episodes reading a webtoon I never would have read if it wasn't for Dannphan bitching out, but Ariana and Jade still haven't slept together or had any sort of romantic interaction, so I don't know what the problem is. How is Ariana being abusive to her men? Dannphan should not have made me read this shit because now I just think she's a misogynist and a pick-me.
Comic glorifies double standards. This comic is basically teaching young girls that it's totally okay to objectify and mistreat the opposite gender.
Is this because a guy is doing it now? We should be looking at all of this just as sourly as we would if this was a guy performing such acts.
Literally saying that it's wrong for guys to take advantage of women, but it's a-okay for women to take advantage of men. No exaggerations.
This video that she and Jack made tries to convince you that a woman who sleeps around with attractive guys and forced one guy into her harem to force him to help her become emperor is as bad as a man who hits, rapes, and sex traffics women, for the point that slavery is bad even when a woman does it. Just because they don't like the harem genre? Just because they don't like webtoons? Why do they have to frame the works of others under the guise of criticism? This is the thing with these webtoon reactors. They don't like webtoons, so they don't want to read webtoons, but they have to because it's their job, so they read them, but they don't pay attention because they don't enjoy reading them, so they just kind of scroll through them and then write up a script that essentially frames the webtoons because they didn't bother paying attention. This is an ethical issue because it's literally just them being lazy at the expense of others. If you don't like your job, but you chose to do this job, then do your job properly. Dannphan's argument that I should have read The Princess's Jewels before criticizing Jax or her arguments is this sentiment of, yeah, she researched 41 different pieces of media and I tried to discredit a couple of them, but she should have read an additional 20 comics before criticizing him. She doesn't even have a fraction of that expectation for herself, and I despise people who are so full of themselves that they think it's okay when they do it but not okay when others do it. Because even if I was defending the comic itself without reading it, she also didn't watch Jack's videos before defending him. She saw Jack's clips from my video, and I saw panels of the Princess's Jewels from Jack's video. I speculated about the Princess's Jewels from the panels they showed, making shit up, and she speculated about Jack from my clips of him, making shit up. She is doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, but she's so triggered by it because in her mind, only her and her friends are allowed to criticize content. She's defending content that critiques the work of others, but my content is content that critiques the work of others, and she does not realize that even if she managed to prove that my video was garbage, she would only be saying that Jack's videos can be garbage but mine can't, because she was so focused on attacking my content that she failed to show anything to prove that Jack's content is better than what's shown in my video. If she had done her own research by watching Jack's videos, maybe she would have something to show. I can't afford to lose any more brain cells trying to decipher her hit piece. Defending racists seems to be her thing. Not only does she have a problem with me criticizing Chalupa in this video, she actually commented on Chalupa's response video in support of him before he deleted the response. Yeah, him saying the N-word, hating black people, and slandering webtoon creators, I exposed all of that because I didn't like his channel, right? Not because he did anything shitty. They must be taking part in some kind of rage bait relay race. She keeps bringing up Matty bites as if Matty is remotely the same as the rest of them, and as if I talked about her in the same way that I talked about Jack and Chalupa, so it just comes across like the fan is trying to use Matty to get her audience to agree with this hit piece. One of the many things that fan doesn't understand is the concept of the elephant in the room. That's just how I'm going to describe it, because the alternative is that she doesn't care about the effect that sexualization of women and minors in manga and anime have on sex tourism in Japan. I'll try to dumb it down as much as possible for her non-existent brain and hope that this is truly the last time I have to talk about it. If fan said that apples are better than tomatoes because apples are red, it means there's clearly some other reason that fan thinks apples are better than tomatoes because tomatoes are also red. Saying that manga is better than webtoons due to webtoon slop existing, despite slop also existing in manga, implies that you made this statement due to whatever is actually different about them compared to webtoons.
It's really his state of fact that is really what I'm calling into question here. He essentially denying reality in order to suit that narrative because he puts it as a point of a state of fact, as though this is not his opinion, this is just what something is. I was only correcting the idea that he was getting something objectively wrong and trying to pass it off as an objective fact when it just simply wasn't. If it had been stated to the idea of, oh, it's just my opinion, that's not what this is about, it's what I think this is about. If he had said something to the effect of that, or this is what I believe it's about, and not made it a statement of fact, then again, this video would not be existing right now.
If these guys said that they like manga better than Korean webtoons, it wouldn't have been a problem because that's their personal preference, but they stated that manga is better as an objective fact without presenting evidence or a valid argument. Complaining about plagiarism that exists in every media and using that as the reason a type of media is worse than another implies that the elephant in the room is not a problem for you. The elephant in this room being the sexualization of women and minors rampant in manga and anime, and the fact that it contributes to sex tourism or child sex tourism in Japan, a problem that is significantly worse than plagiarism. Sure, there's no direct proof of causation because the only way to find proof would be to ask everyone who travels to Japan in order to have sex with a minor if they read manga or watch anime. But we know that sex tourism is a huge issue in Japan, and we know that anime is known to sexualize minors. If you think that manga or anime does not contribute to sex tourism, then what does? Just look at Jack. He believes that minors are incredibly sexual, so much so that he made it his whole webtoon personality to protect these minors from consuming the sexual content they apparently want to consume so much. If you believe that all the manga he read and anime he watched had no influence on him thinking that minors are sexual, and that being such a big topic of interest to him, then you better have another explanation for his actions. Manga and anime's issues of incest, pedophilia, and fan service are commonly acknowledged. Both manga or anime and webtoons obviously have some of the same issues like rape and plagiarism, but it's clear that one's issues are more severe than the other, like actual pedophilia in anime. This is just an objective fact, and it's not my fault that one type of media happens to be more problematic than another, but Jack's-fan makes it all about me, as if it's just a personal thing. She takes the "you just don't like Jack" or "you must be Korean" approach. Despite incest and pedophilia being abnormal in both the United States and South Korea, hence the lack of modern incest and actual pedophilia in webtoon originals, it's like if I made the argument that Jack's-fan purposely ignores the truth and frames me because she glorifies Japan, is Jack's friend, and personally likes manga more than webtoons. Actually, all of those sound true. A better example of me using her own logic against her is if I said she's defending problematic manga because she's a white weeb who fetishizes Japanese people. This statement is inspired by her fans, and Chalupa fans. Every single thing Jack criticized in both English and Korean webtoons, like student-teacher relationships for example, exists to a greater extent in manga, but he claimed that manga is better than webtoons and that Japanese media is better than Korean media as a whole because Japanese webtoons are apparently not webtoons and comics suddenly represent all media. When have you seen a webtoon on the platform he hates so much sexualizing a literal child? This was never about Japan versus United States and South Korea. It was always about brain-dead people like Jack being illogical, therefore their arguments invalid, and their opinions that they state as facts objectively wrong, producing what is effectively rage bait and not fair criticism. But Jack's-fan says in response that people criticize webtoons because they're problematic. What is up with these webtoon reactors? They act like they're living in a different universe. What is the real reason Jack thinks that manga is better than webtoons?
My fetish is actually femboys. I like anime titties and femboys as much as the next guy.
Femboys are pretty much non-existent in webtoons, and manga sexualizes women more than webtoons. I also haven't seen a single webtoon original that features modern incest, for example, a genre that Jack doesn't mind and maybe even likes enough to create himself. He allegedly spent years making a comic about a kid who's romantically or sexually attracted to his mother, so it makes sense for someone like Jack to say that manga is better than webtoons. I skipped to the end of the video to see if she redeems herself later, only to be disappointed again because she ignores me again to drive her own narrative forward and attempts to discredit me by speculating ulterior motives.
Why did Overthrow decide to make this video now of all times? If your goal was to make him stop doing this kind of content, that already kinda happened. He's already shifting away from webtoon content. He doesn't want to do it anymore. So didn't you already get what you wanted?
She wonders why I made the video at the time I did, even though she already knows why. It's literally in the video she watched. Turns out the reason he's not discussed on YouTube is because nobody wants to watch another one of his videos to make a commentary on him. Since I couldn't find any, this is that video. What the fuck did she even watch? Did she not pay attention to anything? When someone sane assumes the reasoning for another's actions, it's because the reasoning is unknown or objectively flawed. Why did she even make this point? Did she run out of lies to tell? Every single video public on YouTube is up for criticism. Has she never heard of the classic comment aged like milk? She even brought up my video from years ago, so what actually is wrong with her?
You didn't even bother to message Chalupa or Matty or me about what our relationship to Jack even was. If you did message us, you would have known ahead of time that Matty doesn't like Jack and that I haven't spoken to him in 2 years.
It's the dumbest point I've ever heard in my life. I didn't know her video could get any worse. Why would I need to know whether or not his friend group fell apart? Has she never seen a video essay before? It's not a legal case, so why would I be taking anyone's testimony? A better question actually is why she thinks that her single brain is a better representation of the whole webtoon community as opposed to actual statistics. It doesn't matter if she's exaggerating when her supposed real point is wrong too. I complained about her for 10 seconds in a 1 hour long video because she was incredibly annoying, so why would I ever want to talk to her personally? Jack's current friendship status is irrelevant and none of my business. Matty explained vaguely why she stopped talking to Jack, and Chalupa didn't explain at all. It's their choice to disclose whatever information they want to the public, and I have no reason to ask.
Just because people do a collaboration collaboration on YouTube together doesn't mean they're best friends.
Jack called Matty and Chalupa friends in one of his more recent videos, so obviously people assumed they were still friends.
Matty Bites and Chalupa. If you had two other friends.
I don't remember Jack talking about his fan in that video, so where is this best friends theory coming from? Fan spends over 2 minutes trying to defend herself from one single person who commented about their vague, unfortunate experience with her.
Claims that I gave the advice to like stop working on their comic. I don't remember ever giving that advice.
That's literally not what the commenter claimed, but okay. To defend herself, she shows a clip from a video of hers and none of her own comments, even though the commenter said they found her video and her comment to be demotivating. We don't know if the clip she showed is even from the video the commenter watched, or if that clip was even what the commenter was upset about, and we also don't know what conversation the two of them had in the comment section because she doesn't show anything that will actually prove her point.
I'm quite full of joy working on them, thank you. In fact, I love it so much and I'm so passionate about it that I want to make it an entire career so that I don't have to do anything else except work on comics.
What was she trying to accomplish by explaining how she could have never demotivated this person because she makes comics herself? I don't think she has any intelligence for anyone to insult. She has no care for her own reputation. He knows people are upset with him and has no intention to change. He still says the R slur regularly and calls women femcells for no reason. He doesn't care about what the femcells are saying about him, so why would a femcell like her bring it upon herself to defend him when he clearly does not care about people like her? I can't imagine why she wanted to embarrass herself this much for someone who's not even her best friend. I don't know what she's getting by sacrificing her dignity, but I hope she's happy with herself.
She's so homophobic to call a bisexual man homophobic. Maybe she should know her place before claiming a bisexual man is homophobic.
Jesus Christ, the delusion. It makes sense that this is her fan base.
Indeed, not only do these weirdos discriminate heterosexuals, they discriminate bisexuals too. They basically hate either form of opposite sex pairing.
It makes complete sense that this is her fan base. Maybe they're talking about Indeed, the job site. Considering how hard it is to find a job these days, they might have felt like recruiters discriminate everyone.
I stopped watching her video when I heard so many, he's obsessed with preteen girls. Like, yeah, no shit, because he doesn't want girls to fetishize gay ships.
So you're directly contradicting Dannphan's point that he didn't actually mean preteen girls? But Vincent said Jack was just joking. Which one of you is telling the truth? Jack had no way of knowing if these works were fetishizing gay relationships, and he did not explain how the relationships were fetishized in these stories. So he was implying that women are not allowed to include gay couples in their stories. Women, make sure all your characters are either straight or lesbian, so Jack doesn't accuse you of targeting porn to a minor audience for money that they don't have. I don't have a webtoon, but whatever I make will be better than this abomination, that's for sure. Maybe if you believed in salad, you would be healthy enough for your brain to function. A lot of the comments are just people admitting they barely even watched my video, so why are they even complaining? These are the same type of people who think that I can't criticize Jack for being misogynistic if I haven't read the comics he's read. If your casual speech sounds like bigotry, then you are a bigot. You know you can just not sound like a bigot when you're speaking casually. What is this logic? Why does it matter that I only showed his reputation on Reddit? Wasn't that the only place talking about him? Were people really supportive of Jack on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook or something? Why can't these people ever just finish making their points? Wait, she supports Trump too? Chalupa said he doesn't support Trump anymore, but it's crazy how much Chalupa and Dannphan have in common.
I think you should be safe from her, at least for now.
What is that supposed to mean? She's the one who stole my brain cells only to discard them when she clearly needs them. Sometimes you wonder how people can type if they have no eyes. I don't think I've read or watched a single piece of individual media that he hated on. They're complaining that I didn't read the comic he criticized before criticizing his video, which means they think that every single person who clicks on a review of a comic should have read the comic themselves before watching the review, and they're so fucking stupid for that because I know they don't even do that. Unless they're telling me that most of them read the Zootopia abortion comic before watching his video, video on it. My criticisms of his behavior in comic reviews have nothing to do with the comics he's reading, no matter how much you personally want to think it does.
Someone called him a pedophile in the comments, or said they wouldn't be surprised if he was a predator.
Which one is it? Because those two are very different. And I doubt they said whatever you thought they said because he said stupid preteen girls. I bet it's because he talked about preteen girls in a disturbing way.
The little Fujoshi little girls can project themselves onto this main character now. Since all this blank fucking cardboard cutout character is doing is talking about basic bitch fantasies. Very clearly the dumbass preteen girls who read this comic are supposed to project themselves onto the main character. So you're specifically trying to make your readers continue reading by fucking teasing incestuous sex. And very clearly that's supposed to be sexually arousing for the reader. And the only person that would go out of their way to stick around and read this shit at this point would have to be someone who wants to jack off to incest porn.
Why would you even speculate that girls under 14 are into incest first of all, and then speculate them wanting to insert themselves in between two gay men? This self-insert character that Jack claims girls want to be is naked. Do you not see that? Surely you don't think the two men on the side just stare at this naked man's body and that's what the fantasy is, just a stare down? Is the author not implying group sex or at least sexual interaction? Jack even claims that these authors are baiting preteen girls to pay for Patreon, which he knows is for NSFW scenes not shown on webtoon. That's why he has a problem with this whole thing in the first place. But why is Jack associating girls under 14 with sexual scenarios? You cannot defend him by claiming he exaggerated. Why the fuck would you sexualize preteen girls out of all people, even as an exaggeration? As far as I know, no one actually called him a pedophile, and I made it clear that I myself wouldn't go as far as to call him that. If Jack himself has a problem with the fact that I associated him with the word based on his own behavior, then I would apologize to him specifically for it, but clearly he doesn't care. Why did he even think that preteen girls were the ones into this shit and not preteen boys? Jack seems to think that all women are into BL, and him calling women in general fujoshis as an insult, regardless of whether or not they draw BL, is another giveaway. Someone said that Dannphan is using her fan base to push me down because she had 74,000 subscribers and I had 1,000 when she uploaded this video, but UT says, that's impossible. She's a small creator too. 74,000 is just like 1,000, am I right? Froggy here is outright lying, saying I defended sexual assault and then lied again, claiming the supposed assault was between a drunk person and a sober person. No, they were characters and they were both drunk. But what can we expect from the fans fan? If you already know the truth and see someone blatantly spreading rumors about me, please report them. This situation got out of hand a while ago after Chalupa framed a webtoon and lied about me, after Dannphan spread her misinformation about me as well. You'd think thousands of people wouldn't believe YouTubers with no credibility who also didn't show any evidence, but no. Is this actually true or is this just a rumor? Because if the creators were proven to be pedos, why would their work still be on the platform? Did these fans really just insult me for browsing Reddit, then researching to confirm what's on there, while believing whatever's on Reddit themselves? So just to fact check all of these claims that people made against Jack, I watched more of his videos. First of all, the callout was on one of the creators' Hongcha, not both. It seems like she was accused of the same thing that Lexit has done, which was sending NSFW art to minors on Discord. No one calls Lexit a pedo, at least no one who covered Lexit, besides Chalupa.
I should not have done that in this case for someone like Lexit, who is a pedophile.
But that's just because he's one of the few YouTubers who don't care about defamation laws. I'm not sure what this means, if she had a sexual OC who is 16 years old, or if she had an OC who was sexual with a 16-year-old, and I can't view the document because it broke Google's terms of service. You're not a pedo if you're not attracted to minors, and there's no proof of her being attracted to minors, even in the comments where people did read the document. She didn't draw an adult having sex with with a minor, she sent NSFW art to minors. Would you even call a producer who created an actual pedophilic anime a pedo? This is proof of someone being a pedophile. Obviously Hongcha is as bad as Lexit, but she's not a pedo as far as we know. How did this person manage to throw in 5 lies in one comment? Are humans devolving? And don't give them the Hongcha's a shitty person excuse, because this bitch lies about anyone regardless of shitty behavior. Tired of Sleep is another pathetic fan who committed libel by claiming that I literally called Jack a pedophile supposedly because he talked about preteen girls, completely ignoring the fact that I didn't call him a pedophile and that he did mention preteen girls in a sexual context. These are just the examples from Dannphan's video. There are a lot more on mine and Chalupa's. Apparently I can subpoena the platform to reveal the identity of these commenters by filing a John Doe lawsuit, so I've been recording these comments in case I need to later. You should have picked up and thrown out your own trash when I gave you the time to do so. I find it hard to believe that Jaxfan and Chalupa didn't know what they were doing as YouTubers who make reaction and commentary content. It's more like they didn't care because they didn't think they would suffer real consequences for their actions. Dannphan and Chalupa are not manipulating their subscribers. Their subscribers are merely choosing to agree with them. Everyone has the choice to remain uninfluenced by a YouTuber's words alone, as well as the choice to ignore 41 pieces of evidence. Maybe I should victimize myself and say they're trying to bully me into silence. The self-victimization strategy seemed to work pretty well for Jack and Chalupa. I will never be able to understand why they did that. In what world do you apologize for saying the N-word with that title? Really sensible decision he made there. A lot of people told me that Chalupa reused Dannphan's video for his response, and I can definitely see that it's made in the same style. The style being elementary mentality, logical fallacies, lies, misinformation, and slander. He was so inspired that he copied everything.
You assume that Black Like Jack and I are best friends.
Who the heck told him that buzzwords equal words I don't like being associated with? Was it you? I actually watched one of Dannphan's other commentary videos before watching her hit piece to get an idea of what she's like as a person, and found out that her perception of comics in general is really strange.
A lot of manga is given some sort of nickname depending on where it comes from, such as Chinese comics, manhwa, Korean comics, manhwa, and French type of manga, manfra. Although these are like mostly just nicknames decided by the internet, and as it turns out, a lot of people don't really use them.
Manga released in other countries is still manga, just like how manhwa released in Japan is still manhwa, but just translated to Japanese. Just because a Japanese comic was translated and released elsewhere doesn't mean it's not a Japanese comic anymore. So her saying that Japanese comics that come from China is called manhwa doesn't make any sense. It makes even less sense to say that the word comic in other languages is a nickname that people on the internet gave to manga from other countries, when these words are just translations of the word comic and is used to refer to comics from these countries. She had no reason to assume that my video was subjective and that my reasons for making the video were different from the ones I told, because I didn't agree or disagree with anything that Jack stated as a subjective opinion. I didn't make fun of his fetishes or express disgust at the fact that he doesn't mind incest. I didn't comment on his art, and unlike his fan, I didn't say he was cringe. His comic was relevant to my video because I heard it features the same shit he criticized in other comics, which is more evidence of hypocrisy, but I purposely didn't bother reading his comic or showing other people's criticisms about it. I also didn't state my personal feelings, opinions, reviews, or preferences about any of the media I showed from any country, even though I clearly watched them all. I did say this one was a train wreck actually, but every character was completely unhinged without a sign of moral standards, and then the show ended with the male lead getting hit by a car because he wanted to divorce his wife after committing adultery this whole time. Is there a better word to describe this show? If I wanted to make Jack look bad, I would have used a thumbnail one of my viewers sent me after I made that video. It was obvious to anyone with a brain that my video was as objective as possible, so it's crazy that this psychic fan thought I made the video because I personally don't like Jack for being too mean. This comment is so accurate.
People are saying you don't like Japanese media. I don't remember that in the video.
It's crazy that me stating objective facts about Japanese media equates to me being racist or not liking Japanese media to Jack Jack's fans. The best part is they can't even list a single thing I said that even implies their claims because they're too lazy to make a valid point. Japanese dramas generally having lower production value than dramas from some other countries is not a personal issue, it's an objective fact. Everyone who watches shows from multiple countries knows the differences between them. Go read MDL reviews or do your own research instead of bitching out about topics you don't know. Those differences are obviously due to differences in cultures and laws. If these works didn't generate revenue for these countries, why would these types of works be produced continuously? Pointing out the fact that it makes no sense to claim that problematic media is better than lesser problematic media does not equate to me liking or disliking one or the other. It turns out if I state objective facts in a video essay of all things, brain-dead fans will throw a fit and start rumors. They think you defending someone means you like them, and you criticizing someone means you don't like them. They also think you defending something means you like it, and you criticizing something means you don't like it. They can't seem to wrap their head around the fact that not everyone is biased like they are. The Gummy Bear King and I both had issues with the Princess's Jewels, but we still criticized Jack's video. These fans think that it doesn't matter if you make objectively wrong criticisms against someone or something if the work is bad or the person is bad. So anyone that has a problem with the criticism itself is just defending the work being criticized instead of criticizing the person criticizing the work. People speculate that I'm biased based on assumptions of personality, preferences, background, beliefs, or relationships, wanting me to be the imagination they created based on their preconceived notions of me because they're dumb enough to believe that facts can be proven wrong merely by claiming that the person stating them is biased, with nothing to back up their claims. The people who speculate irrationally will always speculate no matter what information you give them and how you present that information, because they think that anyone who they don't agree with has ulterior motives, regardless of the accuracy of information presented. The entitled will always find a way to complain unless a video reflects their own thoughts, wants, and feelings perfectly. No one had a problem with Jack critiquing the works of others, they had a problem with him being weird with preteen girls, being misogynistic, sounding racist, using words like gay, fat, and the R slur as a general insult, using fujoshi as an insult for all women, framing comics, telling people to kill themselves, then victimizing himself when he gets sent threats back, blaming YouTube for his failure to succeed as much as his peers, and rage baiting with his brain-dead takes. Jack spouting lies and bigotry, then blaming everyone and everything but himself when his channel doesn't pop off can accurately be described as rage bait and victim mentality. Dannphan's video is so unnecessary and useless because it is on what she wants my video to be and what she personally claims I said about Jack and others, completely ignoring what she actually heard, lying to defend misogyny and racism, and proving her own assumptions wrong. Her downplaying his actions constantly with "look at all the theories and possibilities" in a video made to correct misinformation, and the video supposedly being a response to actual evidence is incredibly disrespectful to me, my audience, and her audience because it means she was too lazy to do proper research as a YouTuber of all things, but still expected everyone to believe her based on nothing but her credibility, which as far as I know is non-existent because she critiques works solely based on her personal opinions. And Dannphan describes her spreading misinformation as offering new context. Her hit piece can be summarized in one sentence. You didn't understand what we
Obviously.
meant because we didn't say what we meant, but it's your fault. You're not a
Mind reader.
Hopefully she comes to her senses one day, and if she miraculously develops brain cells, deletes her video, and doesn't defame me again, so I don't have to waste any more time on her. Thank you to everyone for sitting through her sycophancy with me, and to everyone who supported me throughout the godforsaken mess I ended up in. I appreciated people suggesting I take a break from the whole defamation situation with Chalupa. Check out this video by Agent Forever Late. The link is of course in the description below. It covers a lot about Jack that I didn't cover in my video.
Every page turn, you just get more and more sick of seeing this pig animal's f***ing face. The self-insert's lard ass. Since the main character is a land whale ass edgelord, the story seems to revolve around this pig animal's high school life.
To all my subscribers, don't worry guys. I might be mean to people who are rude to me, but my videos are never gonna be as dog shit as these responses because I'd rather